Okay, so one of the common complaints about anime is that all the girls have these humongous breasts. And I will admit that sometimes it does happen, and we'll go look at some of the main characters to several very popular series and a couple side series to showcase some of this horrendous problem of unrealistically proportioned figures. So first we'll do oh my god, it's and okay. So she has a modest chest. That's that's one main character in one immensely popular series. I mean, it's been running for over 10 years. I mean, that's an anomaly. Let's look at a Rama 1F. Oh, she's supposed to be flat chested, and really she is. So that's another hugely popular series, and it's got to be another anomaly. Let's look at, Sword Art Online. That's relatively new, and Asuna. Oh, look, you can kind of see the contours of her chest. There's a humongous breast there. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. Okay, so we'll go back to classics, and certainly some of the classics had this worse. And oh, Chi-Chi. Yeah, very kind of moderate chest there, not really all that out. So we'll look at another one. Let's try Escaflowne. And Hitome. And Hitome has almost no chest whatsoever. So this is another anomaly. Clearly, I'm sorry. I thought I had a bunch of things here to showcase where it was huge, unrealistically big-chested women. Hinata. The characters in her show actually comment if her jacket is off about how big her chest is. And yes, I am being sarcastic. That is not the biggest chest in that series by a long shot, but it is considered a big chest in that series. This is Horo, who has another. I've stopped being sarcastic a little bit here. Who is still sort of a modest chest there. It's almost. You can kind of see it in some pictures. This is Kagumi. You can kind of see this well, where her breasts are, but they aren't huge. They aren't out of control. It's rather realistic for a girl in high school, like 16, 17. And Kaoru is, again, realistic. I mean, you don't have huge swells coming out of her chest or anything like that. It looks pretty normal. And of course, you have Rukia from Bleach. And she's very small. She's considered very small chested. Um, and from Fushugi Yugi, Miyaka, another small chested main character to a classic series that was very popular in its time. We'll go on to three main characters from an incredibly popular series that was written by people who used to write a porno. And they're all modestly chested. And that series is well known for heavy character development and pretty clean action too. Um, and then this is a very minor series, not really all that well known at all, but again, pretty flat chested. In fact, she passes as a boy through most of the anime. Another classic one coming up. There's not much of it on anime. There's only one short movie slash OAV that's on anime, and she has moderately sized breasts for the art style she's drawn in. Then on to Evangelion, neither Asuka nor Rei have particularly large chests. Those are the two primary love interests to the main character there, Shinji. And going on from there, we'll go to Fate Stay Night. This is Saber, the primary female character of Fate Stay Night. Her chest is quite modest. Most of the female characters in the Fate series are rather moderate. There are some big-chested women, but they aren't all that great, heavily chested. This is Sailor Moon, and I actually have two pictures of her, so you're going to see 30 seconds of her and her friends. None of them are particularly huge chests. They're all pretty appropriate for the young high schoolers that they're supposed to be. The skirt's a little bit short, but is really the princess pretty thing whatever. And then there's Maka, who has almost no chests, very flat chested. Um, so I mean, I'm getting close to the end of my examples here. The next one's Utena, who wanted to be the prince that rescued the princess and managed to succeed to do so. And she has very small chest, and we're going to go on to a very uncommonly known anime from here, which is Nurarihyon no Mago, and that's Yuki Onna from that, and Oikawa, and she's not very. She has almost no chest at all, and she's supposed to be 16, 17, something like that. This is Vampire Princess Miyu. Granted, she's supposed to be stuck somewhere between 12 and 14 until she captures all the demons she actually let loose, but almost no chest. Next is Relina Peacecraft. Relina is very modestly chested, and that's Gundam Wing. She's relatively large for her art style, but that's it. Now, next comes up, does really show some of the big-chested things and a montage of some of the more ridiculous elements. And so it does happen, but when it happens, it's more likely to be in some of the less serious anime. You don't get these in the anime that have heavy philosophical content. Well, sometimes you do, but not as often. And okay, at least American comics never go in for, large breasts or large breast jokes or anything like that. This is entirely a Japanese thing. Even if most of the female characters in Japan are realistically proportioned, it's clearly going to be just a Japanese thing for, huge breasts. Can't be any American characters that have ridiculous size. And granted, American character, and we'll have Batgirl here. And the next one's not an American character. I should not have included her. She's an example of a video game character, really, but Japanese, and her chest is ridiculously huge. Now, granted, American comics and all of that don't go in for all the gainaxy, bouncy nonsense that you would get in some of the more ridiculous animes, but you can clearly see here that a lot of the superheroes have a figure that just doesn't work. Jean Grey is close to something here because she's built with a bit thicker trunk in that picture than a lot of superheroes have. But the next one's like way too skinny waist. It's like almost like they're starving. The breast is rather huge compared to the the build of the skeleton. Next, you have Catwoman here, and looks like she's bursting out of her costume a little bit. I mean, it's like straining to hold her in. Too much spandex. And of course, the joke that is Power Girl, always commenting about the size of Power Girl's chests. That's a common thing. So my question is, where we do the same thing, and granted, we don't do the humorous bouncy crap, except when it's out and out porn, and some of the Japanese anime has that bouncy stuff, even in some of the stories that the cartoons that have good story. Oh, and look, clothing malfunction. Another thing that isn't only Japanese. But we do it as well. If we do it, how do we blame them as that being characteristic of Japan? I mean, that's just being ill-educated. If you're talking about huge breast sizes in Japanese anime, you aren't watching as being always in Japanese anime, then you aren't watching some of the best stuff that exists. It's pure and simple. It's just a false thing. Anime characters are no worse about that than American ones.